Hey guys, with me again, Haptism. Today we're gonna talk about the news card that just get revealed, which is Breaker Dragon. The bad boy is back. The boy that always breaks the meta whenever he comes out is back in the standard, and now we're gonna look at his skill and we're gonna decide again where it's a good card or where it's a bad card. Okay, so let's just cut straight to the chase and look at the skill of the Link Joker from the Clan Selection Plus that just got revealed, and we're gonna see if it's good or bad and it's gonna really break the meta again or not. Okay, so we start with Breaker Dragon itself first. Breaker Dragon has 3 effects. The first effect lets you get power 10,000 for if your opponent has a lock card. This unit gets power plus 10,000, and you don't get imaginary gift with riding Breaker, but you can cover more than enough with his skills. And the second skill is once per turn with Counter Blast 1, your opponent gets an imaginary gift force. You choose one of your opponent Red Guard and lock it without discarding. So usually Breaker discard 1 to lock, but in the standard version he's not discarding anything, so it's a really good one with giving your opponent a force and then locking one of your opponent Red Guard. And the third skill is when your opponent lockers unlock Soul Blast 1, retire one of those unlocked units, you draw a card. Your opponent remove a total of 2 markers from his or her circle or protect from his or her hand, and you get an imaginary gift force for each marker or protect remove. Okay, so this card is like, some people say it's bad, some people say it's broken. Well, first I think it's really good, and I think it's gonna stand up a lot in the meta. The skill, like the second skill, especially like with you giving your opponent imaginary Q force, and then you lock it. You lock one of their rear guards, but you give them the force first, and then you lock their rear guard after. So you can always lock the circle that they give the force to. So during the next turn, you don't get hit with that force. Except if they give it to the Vanguard, then that's a different case. But yeah, you get what I mean. And then the third skill is like when your opponent card is unlocked, you can Soul Blast 1 to retire one of those unlocked units, and you get to draw one like the usual Breaker thing, and then they remove 2 markers either from their field or protect from their hand, and then you get an imaginary gift force for each marker or protect remove. Yeah, it's really good. So to compensate for the force that you didn't get when you ride him, you can get a force marker when you remove markers from your opponent. It's really good. And then onto the second card. The second card is Dissection Starfighter Zirconium. It's a grade 2. Zirconium is a grade 2 with 2 skills. First is on Vanguard Circle or Rear Guard Circle. When placed, if you have a Vanguard with Starfighter in its card name, Counter Blast 1, your opponent looks at the top card of his or her deck and put it on Red Guard Circle as a lock card. So this is a lock enabler. If your opponent happens to be clearing their board like red blue, you can force them to lock their card face down. And if the card that was locked from the deck is placed on the back row, you can draw a card and this unit gets power plus 10,000 until the end of the turn. And the second skill is really powerful. I think if your opponent Vanguard is grade 3 or greater and your opponent is a lock card, the original critical of all your Vanguards becomes 2. So this is, I think it's really multi-purpose. You can force your opponent to have a lock cards when they didn't even have a rear guard like green blue or DI that could clear their rear guard at the end of the turn. You can force them to have lock cards, and especially green blue. I think it's like more like green blue and pale moon, not DI but pale moon. So green blue and pale moon that can clear their rear guard at the end of the turn, and you can force them to have a lock card, and you can still pop off with the Breaker skill earlier, and you can make your Breaker skill gets too critical because of these card effects. with 2 criticals, and so your Charge Breaker will be hitting at 23k with 2 crits minimum, and that's a very good pressure nowadays. So we move on to the third card, and the final card is Strafing Claw. So Strafing Claw has 2 skills. The first skill is on Vanguard and Rearguard also. When it's attacked on the attack, it boosts hits Vanguard. You can look at the 5 cards from the top of your deck, reveal 1 Star Fader, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. And the second skill is on Rearguard. If your opponent's Vanguard is greater or greater, you can put this card into the soul, and you unlock 1 card. Choose up to 1 of your opponent lock cards and unlock it. If you unlock a card, choose 1 of your opponent other Rearguards, then the unlock units and lock it. So this way you can trigger the skill of Chaos Breaker Dragon in the main phase, because the skill of Chaos Breaker Dragon is also not once per turn. So like if you have 2 of these units and your opponent has multiple Rearguards, you can just move around the lock and get multiple marker even. So again, this is a good sport. So let's look at the overall how the deck will be played. I think this deck will change the meta as a whole. So because like of this deck, I think like decks like Luar is slightly unplayable. I'm not gonna say it's unplayable, it's just they're gonna change the way they play, because like with only 1 lock card you cannot do a Morpheus combo. That's just a small that's just one small example of how the meta will change. And then also there's like stuff like DI when Skyharrod can stand to Rearguards. If you just lock 1, he only have 1 line to stand, and that means less pressure. And I don't know, people will be saying that Overlord will not be really affected, because Overlord is a Vanguard based, not a Rearguard based deck. It's a Vanguard centric deck. But if you lock the back row of the Overlords, then they need to pull up something like Calamity or Wyvern or something to pump the power of their Vanguards, because they don't have the booster that they used to have when they boost their Vanguard. Usually the Overlord always have a booster in the back column, and especially they usually want the booster that resistance along with their Vanguard. But if you lock those, there's some massive power hit, and they need to get pumping power with Calamity or Wyvern or other cards. So that's just 2 examples of how the meta will change. And also I don't know if it will affect Gurguit much, because like Gurguit can also create extra marker with Percival. They can create like 2 marker per turns, especially when they rewrite Gurguit over Gurguit and then call another Percival. They can make like 2 exils per turn. And yeah, I think exil clans getting hit less by Chaos Breaker, because Chaos Breaker, when they retire, even if 1 of your exil, if you have 3 exils, then you have 2 exils left, the pressure is still there, and you still get to multi-attack your opponent. The one that get most hit in this, I think, is is Force Clan. I mean, Force Clan usually only hit with 3 columns, and Force Clan nowadays, like, they usually hit with very big Rearguard columns like Luar, and then mostly Luar. And I think if you see some how like Magus Lord Blaster plays, they also have huge Rearguards with multiple force marker too, and if those got locked, and they will be forced to put all their markers on the Vanguard. I think you can just with 1 per Vanguard you can get away with the turn that usually needs to, or like Altmile need like full line to hit you and keep pressuring you. But if you lock 1 of those lines, they cannot do much. That's just some small examples. Again, I think this card will change the meta. Will it be in the meta itself? I doubt it. I think like the meta right now is quite strong, especially like with Bermuda coming and Gurguit is topping the meta everywhere. I don't think it will be the top meta, but yeah, it will change the meta, because like some deck will be straightly unplayable against this, some deck will be having a very tough time to fight against this. So I think it's not only good, it's a great card, it's a great support for Link Joker especially. it's a good deck as a whole, and it definitely will be in tier 1, maybe not, maybe like the top tier S, but definitely in tier A or maybe tier S along with other decks, but it will not be the sole tier S. But yeah, it's a great card, it's a great deck, and it will change the meta again as a whole, I think. So what do you think? Will it change the meta? Will it not? Is it a good card? Is it a bad card? Do tell me what your opinion on this Chaos Breaker deck as a whole, or Chaos Breaker just the card. You can tell me your opinion in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I see you on the next video.